Welcome to Barely Homesteading. Today we're going to take a garden tour. Today we wanted to show you what our garden was like in early September up at 8,000 feet. I know many of you guys are already harvesting tomatoes, bottling all your produce. We aren't quite there yet. We're actually 3 to 4 weeks behind where we have been in previous years because of our late cold spring. So we are even further behind you guys than normal. But we thought we'd just give you a little tour, see where we are, and see what's cooking in our garden. So our first bed is our strawberries. They're here year-round. We actually got a couple of pounds of strawberries this year that we managed to save before Baby Bear ate them all. Not the biggest strawberry harvest ever, but for our little bed, it wasn't too bad. This next bed is carrots. We've actually been getting some decent-sized carrots out of here as we've been thinning it. I'm ready to take about half of them and do some bottling. I just need to find a day where crazy things don't happen. Seems like every time I get a chunk of time, one of my kids come home from sick from school or something else happens that we need to take care of immediately. So this bed, this half of it is potatoes, and you can see that our potato vines are actually starting to die back already. Our nights are getting fairly cool already. We're down around 50, dipping a little bit into the 40s at nighttime maybe. So the days are still pretty warm, so it's possible that some of these plants are getting too hot in the day and then too cold at night, and the extreme switches are just getting, you know, they're getting to the end of their season and just getting hit with that. Down there is pumpkins. We've got a lot of pumpkins growing this year. I think thanks to Baby Bear, some of what I thought was squash is pumpkins because of her help planting. But we do have quite a lot of pumpkins coming on. There's some squash there. Some more pumpkins here that I think was supposed to be squash, but you can see that's definitely a green pumpkin. You can see this orange colors are starting to pop through just a little bit, and they'll be turning orange before too long. Now our nasturtium that we had planted for a trap plant is doing really well in most places. They have bloomed, they are doing great. Over here, we found a short season butternut squash. We have not been able to grow butternut successfully up here before, but we found this short season squash and it's actually doing pretty well. We've got a few squash here and there. We'll just see if it finishes ripening. Right here along the edge, you can see all of our cilantro. Now we have already harvested a whole pint of dried cilantro, and this is all what has just grown since I've harvested it down to the ground. So cilantro really grows well up here, but there's only so much cilantro I can dry and use. That pint jar will probably last us a couple years. Same with the dill. We've done a whole pint jar of dried dill plus extra, and we don't have enough cucumbers to do a major canning of pickles. So we've, you know, just letting it regrow and reseed, and probably we'll have some extra next year. Right here is our Brussels sprouts. I think this is the last year we're going to try Brussels sprouts. I mean, we are not really getting anywhere with them. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. But as you can see, there's the stem, and you can see just some tiny little things coming on, but they're not going to make Brussels sprouts but by the end of the season. Okay, there's another big pumpkin coming. It's just starting to turn orange now in the cool nights. Here's some more just a couple squash plants. Our broccoli is coming on, and I need to come and start harvesting this and weighing it. We didn't get a whole lot of broccoli plants that survived, but what we have got are growing pretty nice heads. Now this is some more of the nasturtium that we had planted as a trap plant. We haven't found a whole lot of aphids on those, but we haven't found a whole lot of aphids on our other plants either. At least not out here. So do they work? I don't know. We haven't had aphids so much as a problem on our broccoli this year as we did last year, which is wonderful. We've had a lot of grasshoppers in our garden this year, and I don't know if they have helped keep the aphids down or if they're unrelated. That's with gardening, you know, never can always tell. These are our beans. They are just finishing up. There's still some hanging on that will come, and we'll have a few more, you know, that we pick here and there. And I've got some that are coming to seeds that I've left on to go to seed for next year. But we've got, I would guess around 13 pounds so far. I'll have to add it all up at some point. But not a bad bean harvest. Our blackberry is growing really, really well. It's survived the goats last year and the turkeys this year. No fruit, but maybe next year if there's no animals eating it, we'll get some fruit. A few more dill plants. Our raspberries have also done rather well growing. I mean, look at this nice, lush, tall growth. That's up above my waistline. But again, no fruit because it died back to the ground again last winter. And so all of this growth is new growth, and we don't have any old canes to actually produce fruit. We did plant down here at the end a couple of zone 3 plants, and I'm hopeful that maybe they will winter over, and maybe we'll get some raspberries next year. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. I know that there are raspberries growing wild all over around here, but I have not been able to get my cultivated varieties to produce any fruit yet, which is sad because I love raspberries. Here are our peas. We are actually getting our second harvest of peas right now, which is nice. I've also got some, you can see some of these are, they're starting to go. It's the end of their season. I've left some on here to get some seed peas, so we'll have seed for next year. Couple of pumpkins in pots. Now those actually seem to be ahead of the other pumpkins because you can see that this one's already a nice orange color. Down here we've got cabbage coming on. It's doing halfway decent. We've already picked a couple of smaller cabbages for to have for dinners and salads and things. Had some with some fish tacos the other day. Cauliflower. We've also picked some cauliflower. I need to come pick this some more. It's starting to be done. But that's nice that we were able to get some cauliflower. And again, we have not had an aphid problem on these this year. All right, so in here we have our lone surviving cucumber plant, and it has spread. It's a pretty decent sized plant. We've left a few cucumbers in there to go hopefully ripen enough that we can harvest the seeds, start getting some seeds that have survived to season up here. We'll see. Last year we tried and the seeds didn't have enough time to ripen all the way, and none of them were viable. We've got a second planting of carrots that are coming on that need to be thinned, and a few celery that came through. You can also see some of the chamomile. All right, so now this is the greenhouse, hoop house, I don't know what you want to call it, that we have been making, and it's still not finished, but we do have the ends closed off, and we have doors on them. Now in here, it's a little warmer, it's a little more protected, and so this is where we've got our peppers, and our peppers have actually been doing fairly well. This is the one place that we have had a lot of aphids though. These were some of the beds that had aphids last year, and despite trying to treat the soil over the winter, they did come back and they have attacked our peppers, which not great, but we are working on dealing with that. We do have some cucumbers in here. We planted a couple of test plants. We were hoping that they would grow up the panel so we could try some vertical gardening, but so far the vines have not quite got long enough. And I'm not sure if they just got planted too late or what. Tried a couple of Brussels sprouts in here to see if the warmer area would help them grow better, but the ones outside are actually doing better. And some celery, again, tucked in here. Our tomato plants are actually growing really well. Look how big they are. This is huge for us. Our tomatoes have never got this big before, and we have a whole lot of fruit set. Unfortunately, none of it is turning red yet. I'm not seeing any signs of red. It's only the early September, but you just never know when the wind is going to, or when the temperature is going to turn. These little brown specks, so that's sawdust from lumberjack putting in this wall and sawing wood, so those are not bugs. Alright, so this is our tomato house that we've had for a few years, and again, our tomatoes are doing spectacular, even better than last year. It's just amazing how big and lush they are. We do have quite a bit of fruit on them again. Lots growing, but nothing turning red yet. So we just have to keep our eyes on that. Now, we only planted 4 plants in here. But apparently, last season, when we had our freeze that killed everything off, there were some tomatoes that fell and just kind of rotted in the soil. And we had a whole bunch of plants reseed from there. We're actually really, really excited about that. They are bearing fruit. We were hoping to let that fruit ripen to the point where we could harvest those seeds. Because if we can get seeds from plants that have spent several seasons up here, maybe we can start getting some that are acclimated to the climate, and hopefully maybe start getting them that, you know, will fruit and ripen faster, and getting things that'll be great to work up here. Here are some more potatoes. You can see 2 of them are still doing pretty well. These 2 are starting to be done. You know, we'll keep them in here as long as possible to make sure those potatoes have enough time to grow. We do know we've got potatoes because you can see some of them poking up through the soil right there. We're excited to see how many we have. Of course, we won't know till we dig them up. Over here, we have our 2 apple trees. Now, we were going to do a video on these, and I still have some old footage that we still may try to do something. We have planted apple trees before, and they have not survived. Not because of the climate, because of the voles. The voles come in and eat the roots of the apple tree, and we're left with a dead stick in the ground. So this year we planted them in pots, and we were going to go plant them out in the fields. And to keep them safe, we were going to build a wire mesh cage that we would then plant them inside of that to protect the roots from the voles. It's a little bit of a project, not terribly huge. We've got the wire mesh, and all we have to do is kind of fold it up into a square or a ball to plant the roots in. But we just haven't, we've had a lot of things come up, and we haven't got around to it, and honestly, they were so small when we got them, and one of them had some problems, I think, with the water and the drainage. You can see some of the leaves are curling up a little bit. Just trying to get the drainage right in these pots has been a little interesting. So we have been letting them grow stronger and grow bigger. We're undecided if we're going to try to plant them this fall or if we're going to keep them in pots over the winter. We didn't know if maybe our little greenhouse hoop house would be cool enough to let them go dormant, but warm enough to keep them alive. Because they are in pots, the roots balls will freeze a lot faster than the ground. And we don't want to completely kill them off again. So that's, you know, stay tuned if you want to find out how that goes. We're not quite sure what the outcome is going to be. Over here we had garlic. We've actually picked all of our garlic. We don't get great garlic harvests here. We get some, but they're usually, the whole thing is maybe the size of a quarter, maybe a little bit bigger. We don't get those giant garlics that are so amazing. Our sunflowers are here coming up. They're all turned away from us right now towards the sun. But you can see they all have heads on them. The thing is not a single one of those heads have bloomed yet because we're so far behind this year from other years. So the chances of us getting actual viable sunflower seeds is pretty much non-existent. If they haven't even bloomed yet, and it takes a little while for them to really be able to get the seeds going, it's just not going to happen. But they're still beautiful, and I love when they are blooming. I love being able to drive up our road and seeing a whole wall of sunflowers along our garden. So we will just keep watching those and see what happens. Over here we've got our turnips. They have done decently well. We've already done a couple of pickings of those, and in fact we did a video about how we cook turnips. That's a kid's favorite way to eat those, if you want to check that out. We have here our blueberry. Again, with our blueberries, we've never got them to winter over, so we have had to go down to a zone 3. We'll see if these winter over. Our basil did not do great this year. I'm about to pick it and do pesto, but it won't be a great harvest. It just, I don't know if it was just the late cold and then it got really hot really fast, and overall we've just had a really hot summer. But I don't know why it didn't do as well. We do have some more potatoes over here. Again, they're kind of dying out, so we'll be picking some of these or digging them up soon. These are some more potatoes. These ones are doing a little bit better, and I mean, they're right next to the other potatoes. I don't know why some are dying. Here's some great ones. Here's one that's already done. So I don't know. Same soil, same bed, just I don't know. I'm saying that a lot. If you guys all know, let me know. We did do some pumpkins over here to try to do some vertical gardening up the fence. They are growing pumpkins, but as you can see, these pumpkins are a lot smaller than some of the other pumpkins we've seen, the plant and the actual vegetable. And I don't know if this bed just gets more shade, more sun, it gets more shade in the morning, it gets more sun in the afternoon. I'm wondering if the soil is maybe just not as good as some other places. Maybe we haven't put as much amendment in. It's hard to say. It's just things have never grown quite as well in this bed. Although the potatoes are probably growing the best of anything we've ever planted here. So maybe we'll make this our nice potato bed. I guess we'll have to see. We've harvested a couple of onions, mostly because Baby Bear has picked them. But you can see that we do still have some more coming. The onions, again, did not do great this year, and that is my fault. I bought the onion starts too early, and then because we kept having snow, I didn't get them planted. Grounds were frozen. And by the time I planted them, a lot of them were just dried and dead, and we just didn't have a good crop this year. This one I know for sure is my fault, though. So I guess next year we'll see. There's always learning to do in the garden. I hope you've enjoyed our garden tour and seen what our garden is doing in September at 8,000 feet altitude. I'd love to see your garden. If you have a link to a garden tour or any videos about your garden, drop them in our comments section and we'll come over and visit. Thanks for dropping by. See y'all later.